Mutants of Pripyat, the dark side of radiation. Drone footage sweeps over the abandoned city of Pripyat. The camera glides over silent streets reclaimed by nature. Trees sprout through cracked concrete, vines crawl up derelict buildings, and the iconic Ferris wheel stands rusted and still. Radiation warning signs are scattered throughout, some faded, others stark reminders of the unseen danger. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a journey to one of the most haunting places on Earth, Pripyat. Ever heard the tales of mutants lurking in this ghost town? Wondered what's fact and what's fiction after the Chernobyl disaster? Well, grab a seat and let's dive into the real story behind the so-called mutants of Pripyat and uncover the dark side of radiation. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Chernobyl Catastrophe. First up, let's rewind to April 26, 1986. Imagine it's a regular night at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Then, out of nowhere, boom, Reactor 4 explodes. But here's the wild part. The residents of Pripyat, just 3 kilometers away, had no idea. They woke up to a sunny day, children went to school, adults went to work, completely unaware of the invisible danger swirling around them. It wasn't until 36 hours later that the evacuation orders came. Over 49,000 people were told to pack essentials for a few days. Buses lined the streets, and in a massive operation, the entire city was emptied. Little did they know, they'd never return. Pripyat became a frozen snapshot of Soviet life in the 80s. It's both eerie and fascinating. Chapter 2. Radiation and its effects. So, what's the big deal with radiation anyway? In simple terms, radiation is energy that comes from a source and travels through space. We deal with it daily: sunlight, microwaves, even your remote control. But the radiation from Chernobyl was a whole different beast. During the explosion, huge amounts of radioactive isotopes like iodine-131 and cesium-137 were released. This ionizing radiation can damage living cells by altering DNA. Think of it as throwing a wrench into the delicate machinery of life. Some effects are immediate, like radiation sickness, while others might not show up for years. It's a silent, invisible threat that can have lasting impacts on organisms. Chapter 3. The Flora of the Exclusion Zone. Now let's talk about how plants coped. Initially, things looked grim. The red forest got its name because the pine trees turned reddish-brown and died after absorbing high radiation levels. But nature is resilient. Over time, plants began to adapt. Scientists found radiotrophic fungi that seem to use melanin to convert radiation into energy. How crazy is that? There are also reports of plants with unusual growth patterns, oversized leaves, deformed structures, but no giant man-eating plants here. These mutations offer a unique glimpse into how life can adapt to extreme conditions. Chapter 4. Fauna and Wildlife Adaptations. Moving on to the animals. Believe it or not, the exclusion zone has become an accidental wildlife sanctuary. With humans gone, animals like wolves, boars, and even bears have flourished. But are they mutants? Some studies have found genetic mutations in animals, like birds with deformities or albinism. However, most animals appear normal. In fact, wildlife populations are thriving more than before the disaster. It seems that the absence of humans is more beneficial than the negative effects of radiation are harmful. Nature finds a way. Chapter 5. Myth versus reality. Thanks to movies and video games, Pripyat has become synonymous with mutants and paranormal activity. Films like Chernobyl Diaries and games like Stalker show monstrous creatures and eerie phenomena. But let's get real, there are no giant mutated beasts roaming around. While radiation can cause mutations, they are typically subtle and not the dramatic changes depicted in fiction. The myths make for great stories, but the reality is more about the resilience of life than horror scenes. Chapter 6. Human Impact and Health. Now, onto the human side. The liquidators, who cleaned up after the disaster, faced intense radiation. Many suffered from acute radiation sickness, and sadly, some lost their lives. There's been an increase in thyroid cancer, especially among those exposed as children, due to radioactive iodine. Studies on long-term genetic effects are ongoing, but so far, significant hereditary impacts haven't been conclusively proven. The psychological effects, however, have been profound, with communities dealing with trauma and stigma. Chapter 7. Environmental Recovery. Despite everything, nature is making a remarkable comeback. The exclusion zone has become a haven for wildlife. Rare species like the Przewalski horse have been reintroduced and are thriving. Bird populations have diversified, and ecosystems are adapting in fascinating ways. This raises interesting questions about human impact versus radiation. Is our absence more significant than the presence of radiation? The area serves as a living laboratory for studying ecological resilience. Chapter 8. Ongoing risks and monitoring. But let's not forget, the danger isn't entirely gone. Certain areas still have dangerously high radiation levels. The new safe confinement structure over Reactor 4 is a massive effort to contain the site for the next 100 years. International teams are continuously monitoring radiation levels and working on containment. Controlled tourism is now allowed, but strict guidelines are in place. The future of Pripyat remains uncertain, but ongoing efforts aim to manage the risks. So, what have we learned? The Chernobyl disaster was a tragic event with complex outcomes. It's a story of both destruction and resilience. Nature's ability to adapt is incredible, and it offers lessons about our relationship with the environment. We must remember the past to shape a safer future. Let's advocate for responsible technology use and environmental stewardship. Thanks for joining me on this journey through Pripyat. If you found this video insightful, hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations. Let's keep learning together. Shout out to the researchers and organizations studying Chernobyl. For more info, Chernobyl, History of a Tragedy, by Serhiy Plokhy, Voices from Chernobyl, by Svetlana Alexievich, HBO's, Chernobyl, miniseries, National Geographic's Chernobyl documentaries. Knowledge is power. End screen. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share to spread awareness about nuclear safety and environmental protection. Until next time, stay curious.